Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what is up? What is good? The king of lightning here today, bringing you guys and gals Kingdom. We back, baby. Kingdom chapter 516 and 517 review / discussion. The glory that is the Haitian unit. The glory that is Oki's glaive. May he rest in peace, the monstrous bird of Quinn. When it comes to the glory that is Ousen, when it comes to this whole battle that is about to unfold, epic. The hype is off the charts. Thus far, everything has been prepped for these major battles. First and foremost, let's get down to the basics when it comes to the story progression, when it comes to the characterization and the character section, and when it comes to the overall pacing of chapter 516. Because I do want to spend most of my time in chapter 517, because in that chapter, first and foremost, when it comes to the pacing of chapter 516, essentially what it really is a back and forth of Riboku reaching Kanton, talking to a few well-known soldiers, and trying to get a feel of what's going on in full detail when Hoshu comes in. And then we see what's going on with the refugees at the city of Gyu. Afterwards, when we have back and forth between Riboku and then the refugees in Gyu, and how Gyu is responding to the refugees. Then we shift over to the Quinn Army and how the Quinn Army, they're now chasing the refugees. And then as that's all unfolding, Riboku is realizing what is really going down and how he's been outplayed by Ousen yet again. So Ousen, extraordinarily impressive. But from a pacing standpoint, simply put, that's the chapter in a nutshell. Relatively simple and straightforward. It's just back and forth between two parts and then the third part at the end. Now when it comes to the character section of the chapter, the main thing here is character introduction. There is some characterization or the characters that was introduced, but it's mainly character introduction. So the first character that's introduced, or the first characters I should say, are the men of a former three great heaven of Zhao, Rin Shoujo. His men, they're talking to Riboku at the beginning of the chapter, and Riboku is going over like the situation at hand and how they're gonna play basically a waiting game, and they're gonna let the Quinn supplies run out, and then they're gonna be starving, and that's the name of the game at the beginning of the chapter. Of course, things change later on in the chapter once he realizes that you have refugees to deal with. Fact of the matter is that we have these new characters that clearly have some weight, considering how they were soldiers of a former three great heaven who has now passed away, I believe so. Next for character introduction, we have the Lord of Gyu, Earl Choki. At first, I thought that his title was Earl, but the way it's written, his name is Earl Choki. He's number 2 for character introduction. Number 3 for character introduction is a West Wall general of Gyu. His name is Shin Raikon, and that's it. So when it comes to character introduction, fairly light. But when it comes to characterization, we do get characterization mainly for Earl Choki. Earl Choki, he seems like a very honorable guy. When you have all these refugees that are lining up in Gyu, trying to get food, trying to get water, because mind you, they've been running away from Quinn for a few days now. They need sustenance, and I believe the term is granaries. So he opens the granaries for the refugees, and he believes that they have enough to spare. So they open a lot of the granaries, and at the end of that segment of the chapter, the 6th granary opens, and he seems to be fairly worried about that. I think he understands now the magnitude as to how many people are in the city. But again, he lets them in anyway because he's such an honorable person. He sees no issue in that because, again, they are citizens of the nation. But that requires manpower, that requires food, that requires water to make sure that everyone is well fed. Well, I mean, not even well fed, just fed, period. But nonetheless, when it comes to his characterization, you can tell that the guy, Earl Choki, he is an honorable dude. He's not a scumbag. Not like the King of Zhao at the very least, because that guy, we'll get to him in the next chapter section. So that is it for the character section of the chapter, and moving on to the story progression of the chapter. Now, when it comes to this part of the chapter, story progression, number 1 is clearly Riboku finding out about the refugees. When he talks to Rin Shoujo's men, and Koshu talks about how all of these cities have been purged by the Quinn Army. And then that's when Riboku realizes that the refugees are a weapon that Ousen created in order to destroy Gyu from within. Now, the very same play that Riboku wanted to use against Ousen is what Ousen is using against Gyu. So now Gyu has closed its doors shut. They're hunkering down for the oncoming onslaught of the Quinn Army. However, Quinn are not to attack, but their goal here is to starve out the city. The main thing about Gyu is that Gyu is surrounded by a moat. It's well fortified, well protected, but the locusts have already infiltrated. So you have Conky and his men. They are now surrounding Gyu to make sure that Gyu won't receive any help from the outside nation of Zhao. But on top of that, Quinn themselves are surrounded by the entirety of Zhao. So the play here is to outlast. The play here is, I believe, a battle of attrition where we have to see whose supplies run low first. However, Ousen is not just going to sit by on his thumbs and let Zhao come to them. He's going to them. And that is fully laid out in the next chapter. But at the end of chapter 516, Ousen tells Conky, I'll leave you to you. Conky, you're heading out, boss. Yeah, heading out. Okay. When it comes to the chapter overall, because actually when it comes to the story progression in a nutshell, because the chapter ends off with Ousen leaving, and it's Riboku now getting a full realization as to what's happening when it comes to the southern area of Zhao, and how he's been outplayed by Ousen yet again. When it comes to the chapter overall, I would say it's a good chapter. Now, when it comes to chapter 517, this is the chapter we gotta sit down and talk about for a bit here. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Oh, sweet baby. Jesus. Whoa. Okay. So first and foremost, the pacing and the structure of the chapter. Relatively simple and straightforward. Basically 3 parts. You have number 1, Riboku talking to the king of Zhao. Number 2 is Riboku talking to the prince of Zhao. And he's a new character, Ta. Number 3, which is the biggest part of the chapter, is Ousen talking to all the officers about the plan. What do we do here on out? And it ends off the chapter, part 4, with Ousen's army heading out, Conky's army hunkering down around Gyu, Heiki bro gonna go with his boys to Yotama's direction, and what Riboku and his company are doing as well. So that's the overall structure and the pacing. Generally speaking, 3 parts, but the end you can kind of say is a part of itself as well. So 4 parts at the most, more like 3.5 to be quite honest. And when it comes to the character portion of the chapter, there is only one thing for character introduction, and that is Ka. He is the Prince of Zhao. So for characterization, number 1, King of Zhao. Now the King of Zhao we already knew was, again, a messed up guy. This guy has no qualms. I can't say qualms. He enjoys taking baths with baby boys. That is sick. That is warped, that is twisted. But we find out more about him, and it only gets worse. He explains the reason why he won't be sending over 100,000 elite Zhao soldiers south to Gyu in the previous chapter was so they could protect his ass in Kantan. He also explains in this chapter that he cares not for the nation at all, whatsoever. He has no qualm hunkering down for a decade or 2. As he explains, by that time, my body will wither away from illness and die. So even though I'll be trapped in Kantan, I can enjoy my life here with all these young boys and just be sick and twisted like that. He has no qualms doing that at all. For 2 decades, he cares not for the nation at all. He cares only for himself, truly only for himself. And on top of that, he states to Riboku that if Riboku loses Gyu, Riboku himself will be carved into pieces. So I explained before that the king of Zhao does not like Riboku at all. Like, if anything, he almost wants to kill Riboku. Like, he hates Riboku. Like, that's the feeling I get. And this is a pretty good chance to get rid of Riboku. I get the feeling, I can't confirm this, but I get the feeling that Ousen may know something about this, removing Riboku from favor entirely, so Riboku's not out of the picture when it comes to future battles against Zhao. Number 2 for characterization is going to be Ka. Now, unlike his father, who is a dark, depraved, sick man, Ka is a humble kid. He seems to be the light to the shadow. He commends Riboku for arriving here on such short notice. He also states that if he needs to, he himself will take up the glaive and he will ride off into battle as well to inspire the men. Though he understands that he won't be as motivational as the king of Quinn himself, he will do what it takes to make sure that the men are motivated to defend the nation at all costs. And then he also states to Riboku that this is a turning point, and Riboku himself knows, he sees that this kid is the light of the future. So in order to make sure that Zhao has a bright future, they must succeed when it comes to this upcoming battle with Quinn. They have to. So This kid, a good kid. Finally, for characterization, is going to be Shun Suiju. This guy is an enigma of sorts, but we do know that he is relatively smart. And Riboku has enough confidence in him to be the deputy of Kosan Ryu and the Ryuyu army, and that is going to be an army of over 100,000 men. So this character, who for all intents and purposes has been relatively unknown, him and the other big guy, I forgot his name was, who we saw at the end of the Kokyo Hill arc with Riboku, who know the weakness of Kanki. This guy is going to be the deputy of Kosan Ryu and is going to help lead an army of over 100,000. We haven't seen numbers that high since the Coalition arc. So when it comes to this character's intelligence and his loyalty, overall his stats as a soldier, that is huge fortification, massive, that this guy is damn good at what he does. But he's an enigma. He is new as piss to the story. And yet Riboku is giving him deputy position over an army of 100,000 strong? Oh, well, and shit. Well, and shit. Finally, people, let's get on to the last part of this chapter, the story progression. The main thing for story is Ousen laying out the plan. And here is the plan. When it comes to the current situation, they are clearly surrounded by all sides, but he explains that there are only two armies with enough men and with enough force that can actually break their stranglehold on Gyu. Number one is the Ryuyu army, and number two is the Atsuya army. So the plan here is not to simply just wait for these armies to come at them, so they have to fend them off from both sides and get pincered. No. The plan here is to take out the biggest threats, or to stall the biggest threats before they even reach Gyu. And Gyu is going to be surrounded by the 60,000 men of the Kanki army. That is huge news. Kanki, the sick, the twisted, the savage, the brutal, the ruthless Kanki, is going to have complete control over Gyu. And according to Ousen, Kanki and his boys have to deal with any oncoming invaders. So let's say that there's a regiment of 5,000 men that come their way to try and free Gyu. Kanki and company must deal with that 5,000 men. They will get no assistance. They will get no assistance from Ousen or from Yotanwa for obvious reasons. But that is the play. The 60,000 men of Kanki's army are in charge of Gyu. That's number one. Number two, Yotanwa. Apparently, the Kosanryu army is the Ryuyu army. They are going to get reinforcements, and their numbers will go over 100,000 men. So you have 50,000 men versus 100 plus thousand. From a number standpoint, very uneven. Granted, knowing Yotanwa, she would probably say something on the lines of, well, that's only what, like 2 guys per person? Easy. We're a fucking mountain tribe. For one mountain tribe dude, he'll kill 20 guys. Hey, Yotanwa will simplify the fuck out of it. You know she will. But Ousen is gonna send over Heiki. Bro, the last time he really got like some actual combat spotlight was during the Coalition arc, where this guy was being motivated by Mobu, and he's like, my glaive is excellent today. I'm like, Heiki, whoa! So when you have Heiki, like, yo, Yotanwa, I'm coming, all right? Figuratively and literally, in many, many ways, I'm coming, Yotanwa. When Ousen tells Heiki, yo, you're taking 2,000 men of the Kanki reserves, plus your 8,000 men, 10,000 men to go and support Yotanwa. Yes, sir. Yotanwa, I'm coming, baby. I'm coming. Heiki, all right, okay. So we may get some spotlight when it comes to Heiki, because he is going to be one of the other major factors when it comes to that particular battle. However, the main meat battle, the battle of battles, like the whoa, that has the most key officers by far, not just from the Quinn side, but also from the Zhao side. Keisha's old men are coming out. The guys that really want to kill a Haishin unit. Ooh, the Haishin unit are going to be massive targets. Officers on top of officers on both sides are going to be taking part in the Ousen army versus the Atsuya army. That is the battlefield where most of this arc is going to take place in, clearly. However, let us not forget that at the end of the Kokyo Hill arc, it was revealed that Riboku and company have found a weakness when it comes to Kanki. If they know Kanki's weakness and Kanki's army is by itself surrounding you, I mean, maybe Kanki kicks the bucket because of a Riboku plot. Something that not even Ousen himself is aware of. Maybe, because you have to wonder, are things really going to go according to plan on the part of Ousen? At this point in time, things seem to be a simple battle of might. However, there are still forces that Zhao have left at their disposal that can still change the tide in their favor on the spot if they ever come into play. Like Shibasho, like the heavenly deity of whatever the fuck. I forgot what his name was. Like Hoken. Hoken be my name. Like O-N. So many things can easily sway this battle one way or the other. As a result of that, what we may see, yes, Shin and company, Ohon and company, Moten and company, they are going to be under Ousen's wing. However, they still are independent units. So, potentially speaking, if they feel like they need to go elsewhere, if Shin sees the fire elsewhere in the distance, Shin may just deviate and say, yo, guys, we're going that way because there's something going on over there. There's something going on over there. I see the fire. We're going that way. That's how they're going to be dealing with X factors that are going to be even outside of Ousen's scope, like Shibasho. Ousen should not know about Shibasho. Shibasho may be a factor, and the only way to deal with that factor is if an independent unit like the Haishin unit divert to Shibasho. If Hoken appears somewhere, oh, you know Shin's going there. He is an X factor that the independent units can adapt to. One of the key reasons why Shohei-kun gave them that status. If they need to, they can just split off. So that being said, folks, I am done. This chapter of Kingdom, chapter 517, is going to get a great plus. This was a, because now we're reaching the end part of the setup, if you would. Because this chapter lays out clearly the battlegrounds, the real battlegrounds. Of course, give me your thoughts on the matter at hand, and I'm gonna see you cats later. Be sure to rate the video. It is not that hard to do, since you have a device called Zay Mouse Ooh. You use Zay Mouse Ooh to click, rate the video. You subscribe. You click on the bell to join the squad, as well as comment in the comment section down below. I'm gonna see you cats later. Peace, and have a nice goddamn day.